What up, people? It's your boy Master Trudy out here with another comic review. So we got Harleen, number 2 by Stefan. I'm gonna say Stefan, and forgive my butchering his first name, Sejic. Um, this is probably the second issue of this Black Label book two. This is probably the most in-depth, interesting origin of Harley Quinn. Imagine basically Harley Quinn from the animated series from Mad Love, and then given an even more serious look. She's actually a character. This might be my favorite portrayal of Harley Quinn in some time. Not the maniac that just, is another female Deadpool, like she's been portrayed for almost the last 3 years. No, this is what made her popular in the first place. A complex character with goals. Now, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to just go through the most important parts because there are some things that you should just read for yourself in this book, which is very good. But let's get into it. Maybe I'll deviate though. So Stefan Sejic did both the story and the art. Great writer, great artiste, and I really felt drawn in. But as you know, in the last issue, Harley got her interview with the Joker. And, Joker's giving her the usual spiel that he's given to all of his psychiatrists who have interviewed him. And we see a little flashback of, Harley Quinn in a pretty nice costume. This is kind of like a modernized version. At least she's in black and white. Red and black. Not looking like the Suicide Squad version, which doesn't look like Harley Quinn. And she remembers that later in life, in dark times, we might go back to this conversation because this is her going back in. Who knows? I'm interested to see what's going to happen when we reach present time in this book. And so, basically she says all good people are monsters in hiding, and then the Joker says, yeah, until the rubber band snaps, until the rubber bands of their mask snap. And it's like, all normal people dream of going crazy every now and then. Probably is when they do, there's no going back. And what do you dream of? And it's like, simple stuff, honest smiles. Anyhow, I'm a bit tired. Maybe we can continue this later. But this is interesting because he's pretty much bringing up basically the moral, the crux of his argument in A Killing Joke. Like, all it takes is one bad day. And, she felt, it's like I dwell on the small details of what he said, wondering what they carried large meaning. But she's like, I was angry. I felt like, he was just giving me the usual spiel of his previous therapist, and I felt that was offensive to my intelligence. So, she's been drinking. She cared. She's pretty much interviewing almost everybody. Scarecrow, and it's interesting that they use the Arkham Knight version here. Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc, Joker, Riddler, Victor Zsasz. This is Victor Zsasz, not the one we're going to see in Birds of Prey, and then Poison Ivy. And of course, she's been drinking, and she's just frustrated that she can't get to the Joker. A month into Arkham Asylum, I was back to square one. I was not even close to finding a promising candidate for my research. Her research, if you've forgotten, was to find a way of whether or not psychopaths or murderous criminals can be successfully rehabilitated, and all she has to do is interview each of the main Arkham villains, as well as some police officers down the road. And of course, she's been drinking, if I haven't mentioned it, but she felt like she was, done for the day. Then she gets a call from her boss at the hospital. Mental hospital, basically. And it's like, Quinzel, it's Dr. Matthews, good evening. It's like, she's saying it's kind of late. It's like, it's been crazy. And she's saying that dealing with insomnia. It's like, I got my milk right here, looking at this tumbler of good old whiskey. But anyway, she pretty much tells him that she managed to get the interviews through Commissioner Gordon, but might want to take a rain check because of something that happened with Harvey Dent. So we see that Harvey is here, getting interviewed. Summer Gleason. Been a while since I haven't heard that. Since I've heard that name. So he's taking an interview about the dealings of Salvatore Maroni, and whether or not his office is going to investigate that part. It's like, yes and no. My office is building our own case against Mr. Maroni for criminal activities that extend far beyond the rigging construction contract bidding. such as that I'm not able to disclose right now. But I can tell you this: Sal Maroney is an important man, enough for the police to deliver his coffee, it seems. But that's about to change. Okay, it's like, oh, Maroney, be careful of promising too much there, Dent. See, me, I'm a businessman. I want to sell product. I want to sell a product people want. But you're a politician pretending to be the law. You too are here to sell a product, aren't you? Your whole product is this whole pious act, this illusion that you got things under control. But you don't. In the end, like every other politician, you're nothing but broken promises and an expensive suit. When people stop buying what you're selling, you throw an honest man like me under the bus, no matter who gets hurt. Say, sometimes that doesn't work, Dent. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you try to save face, you can't. And of course, we get that Sal Marodi, much like similarly in the animated series, even though that was through an explosion as the cause of Harvey's half-face transformation. This time he just pours like acid on my man's face, and he's arrested. But then all of a sudden, the this new group of hardcore vigilante ex-cops, because that's what they are, kidnap Maroney, and they're getting ready to execute him in the name of Dent, because Dent was hard on crime. But of course, Batman comes in. Nice Batmobile, by the way. Batman comes in, stops the murder, and because of this, Gotham has seen the executioner, which is interesting. They have the Deathstroke mask, kind of. What's interesting is that the people view the executioners in a positive light more than GCPD, and pretty much they're asking, like, the Gotham PD has been cooperating with the vigilante for years. How are these rogue officers any different? And Gordon's like, well, because Batman's not a murderer, and he's like, no more questions. So she starts to remember Joker's words that everybody's a monster, but then she heads to the 42nd precinct, Gotham. Then he's just saying, "Sir, Mr. Quinzel is here to see you," and she's like, "Bruh, really?" She says she has something important. It's like, "Of course, oh sweet God, well this week never ends." It's like, "Yes, bring Dr. Quinzel in." It's like, "I'm sure." And then they have a conversation. And then he pretty much gets to the point that Dr. Mathis told me about your research, and while I generally don't find it objectionable, I would ask you to reconsider your timing. And then Commissioner, and she's like, I think it has to be now. The situation with the executioners might be the catalyst needed for an honest and relevant conversation with your honors. And he's like, honest conversation? Doctor, my entire police force is under suspicion. Every shot fired in the line of duty will be studied under the microscope because of these executioner idiots. And then she's like, I didn't know. Listen, everyone here's on edge now, including me. But just so you know, I'm on the level with you. I'll show you something. Come. By the way, if anyone asks, you're a union-sponsored therapist here to look after the officers. It's like, why not tell the truth? I'm here doing research. It's like, Dr. Quinzel, these are strange times full of stranger criminals. The last psychiatrist to do research here was Dr. Jonathan Crane. And, well, let's just say that didn't end well. And she's like, all right, fair enough. And that was before this whole executionist business. It's like, here we are, being from the Criminal Psychology Center. I trust you can keep what you see here to yourself. And she's like, yeah, of course. Meet Sergeant Hoskins of the GCPD SWAT team, decorated cop, a hero of the force. He was one of the 3 executioners apprehended by Batman. So we see basically Bullock, Harvey Bullock right here, giving the man some interviews, like saying, if there are only 3 of you, how was the camera footage delivered to the WGBS studio? Someone dropped it off anonymously. I don't know, maybe it wasn't bad. Yeah, must have been him. He was trying to say he was going to protect the fight, protect the murderous filth, like Maroney. Or not, maybe more of us ready to do what needs to be done. And what would that be? What would that be? Take them out for good. Do them what they do to you without hesitation. You think someone like Mr. Freeze or Zaz or the Joker would give you a chance if you were at the other end of their weapons? All of them are irredeemable, merciless killers, and you know it. And, it's like, you see my problem? I got 3 hero cops under arrest, and nobody knows how many more within our ranks are waiting to snap. Everybody's suspects everybody right now. It's like, and they continue the conversation. So trust me when I tell you, you will not find anyone willing to share their personal feelings with a psychiatrist today. And so she gets it. It's like people die because we release these bastards on technicalities for good or for good behavior. You can take your laws and shove them up your condescending asses. This city needs us because we will do what the rest of you won't, even what even Batman refuses to do. And so that's when Harley gets the idea of saying, I want to talk Batman, which I think is one of the greatest conversations I've seen in a comic. It's short, but it's very poignant. So Batman arrives, and he thinks that there's a new detective, and she's worried that he might remember her from that night when he was chasing the Joker. It's like, no, shrink. Dr. Harleen Quinzel. It's like, maybe you're like Mr. J. Batman never took a good look at my face that night, I hope. And he's like, from Arkham? Yes, but how did you... The good doctor here wanted to ask you something. Go on. It's like, I finally waited for hours, and I was finally asking him a question. It was a simple question, and I needed his answer. I needed it because he's the crucial piece of the massive puzzle that is Gotham. And so she asks, do you think they can be helped? When he gets down, which I think is very good art, the sequence is very nice, is that why you let them live? The Penguin. It's like, Killer Croc, it's like the Joker, because you think there's hope? It's like, I don't kill. And she's like, yes, but I need to know why. It's like, I need a reason. And then Batman gives classic Batman answer. I don't kill because as hard as it is sometimes, it is still the right choice. I don't kill because I don't want to give up on them or myself. And so that was a great answer. It's like, so you believe there's hope for them? I hope there is. Even Joker? Do I think he can be helped? Many have tried. And that was, it was short, but it was a great conversation. So she goes back to Arkham. It looks like the job started to get to her. I like how the art kind of displays, like, she came in peppy, and she's like, I'm a cog, basically, in the system. And she's like, you're late, rough night. Anyhow, I thought you were chief of security, not the hall monster, Mr. Bronson. Ah, yes. Coffee machine is out, by the way. I had Simmons do you a coffee run, and I included you, but it's a bit cold, but it should do. It's like it's $2 in a cookie jar. And he pretty much tells her to not overdo it. I've always had a sensitive nose for bullshit and other things, and one of those things being the smell of alcohol, which, of course, he knows, like, you have been drinking heavily. Like I said, remember when I told you I cope with this place through whiskey and darts? You may want to find your darts, Doc. And, she understands what he's trying to say. I really like the kind of pseudo-friendship they got, but she's like, I can't relax now. I've got to continue my work. And so they get back to continue the conversation. It's like, Mr. J, I'm here to continue our conversation. It's like, Dr. Quinn something, right? Is Quinn okay? Your name is a bit of a tongue twister. It's like, yeah, I've heard worse. It's fine. By all means, sit. What would you like to know? And he pretty much like saying, and I find this was another very good line of dialogue with Dr. Quinzel and the Joker. So he says, like, well, I'd like to like more if you knew it's a city of monsters, and I want to know how this relates to the rule of law. And he pretty much gives, an interesting answer. See, in the age of metahumans, the notion of people imposing law and order is downright hilarious. And then you have the Batman, and it's like, what about him? Think about it. Deep down, all the Gotham cops know they're fighting a losing battle. Some of my roommates here in Arkham pack so much power they could take on an army. So the cops compromise. They mount a cry for help at the top of the police headquarters, a signal for their avatar of justice. Oh, they may not say it, but they do see him as that. A man who does what they wish they could. Bust in, break bones, takes down the bad guys. And she's like saying, the police have never officially condoned, said, vigilantes, I know, yes, I know, doctor. But to that, Batman is more than a vigilante. He's the righteous indignation personified. The person who could break the rules across the lines. And she's like, not all of the lines, which of course is the no-kill rule. And he's like, it's like, for now. I told you before, this city makes monsters, and I tell you this now. One day, he will cross the last line. Batman will kill one of us here. And when he does, you will see the true face of Gotham's police. And it is the face of Gotham itself. It has fangs, claws, and blooded eyes. See, they will condemn him in public, but at the same time, you will see a dramatic increase in the use of deadly force because if their hero could do it, I mean, everyone can slip every now and then. And the beasts of Gotham will howl as the city goes to war and monsters in and out of uniform slaughter each other. And she's starting to see it, and he senses that. She's like, oh, you've seen it too. Well, then I guess that makes me feel a little bit less crazy then. Anyways, I think that'll be all for today. And, she basically asks why you didn't pull the trigger. And, he's doing his usual manipulation. He's like saying, see, there are two expressions I love seeing on people's faces above anything: abject horror and an honest smile. You'll understand the two rarely cross paths. But that night, when I stared in your flame lit face of terror, I thought I wouldn't mind seeing her smile. And then, of course, bam, he got her. But then who knows? Men might come out of bullets. It's like crazy people, am I right, Dr. Quinn? No joke. I love to see you smile one day. Bam. He got her. He got her with the charm. It's over, and she just keeps having nightmares. Um, all these monsters, and then she starts feeling sympathy for this man. And all of a sudden, of course, the Joker has been doing some research, and of course, this has to be Dr. Quinn's file, which is why he's pretty much talking the way he is. Like, late delivery. I do believe I ordered anchovies with this. Give me a break. You know how hard this was to get out of Dr. Strange's office? Well, B plus for effort. I want double the money. You tell that to my associates when you go collect. I'm sure they'll take it well. You son of a bitch. Oh, what? Exactly. You should really seek professional help for that gambling addiction of yours, Mr. Robbins. I mean, you are in the right place for that. They care here. Oh, yes, they care a lot. So the joke um, is obviously doing something, manipulating. Saying, so, it's been 4 days since she's had that conversation and she's not feeling well. And she's just reading the news about just violence, fifth day turned sadistic. She had a good hair moment, and it's like a bit of a gallows. She was just feeling herself, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm feeling myself with the Joker." And then she decides to say, "Okay, 2 weeks. I'm going to avoid it. See what happens." So she focuses on the Riddler, Killer Croc, Penguin, Mr. Freeze. I love this thing where she's in the Parker, where she's like, "I'm so done with life." Then she gets to Poison Ivy. She's like, "I do appreciate, the fact that you're using a recorder instead of paper. Others before had different methods. One of my previous doctors, he brought a potted plant, watered it with bleach in front of me to convince me I couldn't physically feel its pain." And she's like, "Uh-huh. I didn't use a recorder for her. Truth was, by then I was at such a low point I couldn't be bothered to take notes. It's like he made a grave mistake by letting me touch the soil of that plant." It's like, "Doctor, I really like Poison Ivy's look here." It's like, sorry, right? Is it me?" It's like, "What? Your hormones are elevated every time you smile. You blush." It's like, "Usually I have to kiss a person to elicit such a response. So I'm wondering whether my abilities have evolved." And she's like, "No, I think we're done here for the day. Thank you, Miss Isley." It's like, "It's Ivy." So this is the thing I like. Ivy does not, in the past, Ivy doesn't love people. She doesn't like people. I think the only person who's really elicited that type of, "oh my gosh, I love him," is Batman. But she uses people. And that's the basis of their relationship. Not really friendship, because she's technically the smarter of the two when she cracks. Which is kind of sad, though, when you look at it. Harley is going down the drain, and she's realizing, "oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, and the Joker's in my head." And so she's like, "Doc, are you okay?" And, Bronson is like, Bronson's a really good friend. I'm going to hate when this relationship goes down when it goes down the sewer, as it eventually will. And, she's like, "a rough day." It's like, "Booze?" It's like, "I thought you quit." It's like, "Feels good for day for relapse." "Well, it's not booze, but one of my guards, Priya, today's her birthday. She brought some snacks and a soda. So if you could join us and you want." And it's like, "Thanks, but no, I have to organize my paperwork before I sign off for the day. Plus, there's still one more patient I got to see." Okay. Have a good way. Good night, Doc. Night, Mr. Bronson. And, she goes to see the Joker. And she just watches him sleep. And, his back is scarred. But anyway, we get back to Harvey Dent. And we see that he's been in a coma for a month. his aide de camp is like rushing. He flew in. It's like, Mr. Dent, please be reasonable. We're not still trying to shift these engine damages. Ah, Wilkes. Harvey, oh, thank God. I took the first flight back when I heard you were awake. How are you? It's like, I think the little itty bitty, it's like the little itty bitty friendship they have, I think is good because usually most of his political allies would have abandoned him after this, saying like he ain't fit for election and I can't ride the gravy train. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm almost been in a month in a coma. Still catching up on everything. It seems the vultures have been busy circling what's left of my good name. So he's, trying to keep active, trying to read the papers. And he's like saying it's been a challenging month. The whole executioner's business, rogue cops murdering criminals in the name of their martyr Harvey Dent. Suffice it to say, the tabloids have been eating it up. And he's like, okay, in 3 days I want you to arrange a press conference. And his doctor's like, yo, talk him out of this. Like, he's like, what do you mean? Both his left eye and ear are critically damaged. The tissue has barely begun healing. He's on extremely powerful painkillers, and he's like, yeah, doc, I don't need it. It's like, Mr. Dent, you've been doused with a lethally toxic chemical cocktail. We can't even exclude the possibility of brain damage. Please propose this for at least 2 weeks. Give us time. And 2 weeks is kind of reasonable. Like, just give us 2 weeks, and you'll be probably good to go. It's like, Wilkes, do what I told you. 3 days. You got it, Harv. He's like, yeah, man, I'm going to do this thing. And the doctor's like, you know what, I'm done. You lunatics. It's like, now leave me be. I still had a lot of reading to do. Oh, so Maroney was killed. Eventually, I think. They say, following the attack on District Attorney Harvey Dent, suspected crime boss Sal Maroney met his end by the hand of so-called executioners. The vehicle transporting Mr. Maroney to the county jail cost commandeered by the executioners not long after its departure. From there, nobody knew its whereabouts. The autopsy concludes that Maroney was savagely beaten for an extended period of time, pretty much, and he had like 17 broken, bones. So Harvey's obviously pleased, like, well, son, at least you get to see your son again, and of course, double personality starting to wake up, and he sees his face and he's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And so we get to Gotham Superior Court. Of course, he makes due on his promise. 3 days later, he's going to give a press conference, and Wilkes is here saying, you good? And Harvey's like, yeah, I'm good. And he's like, okay, just keep your cool. These assholes had their run of the narratives for a while, muddying the waters with their little pity party for the criminals, but now you're back. A wounded hero returns to protect the city. You're here to remind them what the beasts are truly like. To remind them what these bosses would do to them and their families. Make them afraid, Harvey. And he's like, whoa, bro. It's like, what the heck was that, man? And it's like, I just said make him wait, Harvey. That's not make him wait, Harvey. It's like, here he is, everyone. The right hand of justice, Harvey Dent. It's like, you got this. And so, yeah, he's starting to freak out. Meanwhile, she ain't sleeping. She's drinking. She's looking miserable. She's trying to keep on a straight face. But yeah, it's getting to her. So they deliver. She basically she manages to watch the news after the fact of Harvey's press conference. And of course, it's uncomfortable to watch. I really like how pretty that Stefan Senchik has made Harley. Very nice. But pretty much a press conference. Mr. Dent, they pretty much ask why the crime boss tried to kill you, and it's like, look, Sal Maroney initially approached me as a businessman, wanted to support my campaign. I accepted his help, seemed sincere, no doubt. But of course, we found out that he had ties to organized crime which involved his own son, who was accomplice to murder, and he was like, hey man, I support your campaign, and why don't you get my son out? But he's like, nah, man, I'm incorruptible. We don't do that here in this office. And so, unfortunately, his son was killed in prison, and then he's blamed me ever since. So, speaking of justice, what's your thought of the executioners? And pretty much we see that we see that I think he's bleeding from the left side of his face, which is kind of interesting because I thought that the wounds themselves kind of like burned every pore shut so that blood wouldn't go down. But then, of course, he blames like the media for kind of putting Sal Maroney in a positive light And this is what you've done. So he pretty much goes, freaks out, supports the executioners for crushing those roaches the way the feckless politicians would never would. They're not the way that not even Batman could, and even that none of you will admit, you know I'm right. There's a cancer in Gotham, and the only way to cure it is by carving it out. So, yeah, he's lost it, and it's like Harvey Dent is speaking directly to basically Harleen Quinzel. And, it's like basically Dent was roasting the city council, and they've temporarily removed Harvey Dent from the city, from the district attorney's office after starting outbursts. And she's like, a month ago I would have yelled at the TV, but I was too tired. I was tired of Arkham. I was tired of him, my great tormentor. Why would I ever want to deal with him again? What was it that Dent calls him? Remorseless, cold, and caring? And then she's like, she has an epiphany that, nobody's ever asked the Joker, does he ever regret killing anybody? And they've watched the tape, like they've read interviews, and nobody's ever asked her. And she's like, oh my gosh. So basically, she remembers in a college course like this, like, what's the difference between a sociopath, a psychopath, and a narcissist? Miss Quinzel, they're all varying degrees of antisocial behavior. Wrong. The difference is how quickly you grow tired of dealing with them. It's like, this was a joke my teacher used to tell me, but there may be some truth to it. Sometimes it's not that your patient is that deep in a hole. Sometimes you just haven't stuck around long enough to ask the right questions. People suffering from the antisocial personality disorders are notoriously hard to work with and easy to give up on. And so she seems to have gotten her second wind, so it seems, and she's ready to go in. And Joker's like, are you okay, Doc? I'm fine, Mr. J. Now I have just one question for you. He's like, okay, ask me. What do you want to know? And she's like, do you feel remorse for the lives you've taken? And the Joker is almost laughing this off comically, saying like, really? Come on, Doc. You've read my files. Narcissistic sociopath, heartless psychopath, a classic case of antisocial something or other. It's like, yes, I've read your files and I've seen the video interviews and I've noticed that nobody ever bothered asking you that question. Given the conflicting natures of your past diagnoses, it's a question that needs answering. Now, maybe my predecessors just assumed your answer was no. I can't say for sure. Me, personally, I'd rather hear it from you directly from you. And, he goes in for the last piece of bait to hook her in. It's like, the first ones, they were still that. Like his first victim of the streets of Gotham is one's empathy. And he knew because he read that file and got that information about what she wanted to do. And she was hoping to catch him off guard, but instead she got caught off guard. I mean, regret, guilt, empathy bring about hesitation. And on the streets, hesitation will get you caught and get you killed. I figured we all killed that part of ourselves first. And we got to kill attachments. So I had to play it smart, and he knows that he's got her. And it's like, in hindsight, I played it neither smart nor carefully. Instead, I just took the bait. So he just talks, and she's like, no, I care about it. And, she's like saying, okay, let me ask you one of your questions. Fine. It's like, how often do you watch me sleep? And this is classic. He's got her. There's no point. She has become the first step to becoming his right hand in the future that they have together. So it's like, oh, it was just one time. I was passing by and I noticed your scars. Is that pity I hear in your voice? No need for that, Doctor. They're battle scars. Nothing more. Anyways, I barely feel pain. And she's like, she's like struggling to figure out what to do. What's her next play? It's like, now I'm not letting this go. I need to know about your loss. I was like, why? Because I want to help. It's going to stop it, Doctor. Tell me honestly why you're here. See, I'll give you this. You got me to tell you more about myself than anyone else did. And maybe, who knows, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I was dwelling too much on why I wanted to see you smile. And yeah, he's getting into it. Like, see, I may be a little crazy, but I'm not stupid. You may hide it better than the others. But like them, you're hoping to write a book, an article, or a thesis. In the end, at least the cops are honest. They see us as monsters because we're just that. She's like, no, I'm not like that. And of course, she does the the mistakable, the unmistakable, and she cuts off the security feed, takes off my man's straitjacket, and of course the Joker knows that he got her. You can see it in his eyes. And she's like, I came here for my own true purpose. It's like, but I changed. I find myself caring about you, caring so much that it scares me. And he's like this. He thinks that she's coming in for the strangle. Thank you, Dr. Quinn, for caring. You could call me Harley. It's like Harley Quinn. Hey, I like that. And there begins the end. That begins the end of Harleen Quinzel and the beginning of Harley Quinn, slowly but surely. So this review it's probably very long, but because I got into the nitty gritty of everything, but it's a fantastic issue. This is Harley Quinn. This is how you really delve into a character. Like, you went in, you really step by step analyzed her fall, but also what made her, a normal person. That she started off with good intentions, but we all know that the road to hell is paved with good intentions at times, and now she has fallen into the trap. But of course, it wasn't entirely her fault. The Joker is a master manipulator, and of course, he had some boys paid in Arkham to get her file on her research and what she wanted. And once he found out what she wanted, he knew how to play her. This issue is a perfect 10 out of 10. The interactions with Batman, the interactions with the Joker, the interactions of even Harvey Dent and his predicaments, his fall was addressed as well. It's just fantastic, and I can't wait for the next issue. So thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notifications. Make sure you're notified. Once again, I do these reviews for you, the people, because I want to discuss good comics and get your views on them. Thank you all for watching, and I should hope to have maybe another video out later today. Peace. Oh my gosh.